Hello, everyone, and welcome. If you're here, it's probably because you're looking for a clear, practical way to build a really strong foundation for your school council. Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down the blueprint for creating effective school council bylaws.
So let's just start with a quick question. Does your council meeting ever feel a little bit like that tangled chaos on the left? Full of amazing energy and the best intentions, but maybe lacking a clear path forward? Well, what if it could feel as structured and clear as the grid on the right, where every single piece has its place and its purpose? That transformation, that's exactly what we're talking about today.
But before we get into the how of it all, let's ground ourselves in the why. This quote right here from Ontario Regulation 612/00, it's not just a nice suggestion. This is the official core purpose of every single school council. It all comes down to helping students succeed and making sure the system is accountable to parents and caregivers. This is our North Star, It's what guides everything we do. So, what's the tool that gets us from that chaos to clarity? It's a set of bylaws. The best way to think of them is as your council's official operating manual. And listen, they are not meant to be restrictive red tape. Not at all. They're a shared rulebook that makes sure everyone is on the same page, working from the very same plan.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates why they are so crucial. Clarity, that means everyone knows exactly what their role is, no guessing games. Consistency, it means procedures are handled the same way every time, which avoids a ton of confusion. And fairness, well, that guarantees the same rules apply to every single member. When you put those three together, you create a system that's built on trust and real efficiency.
So you might be wondering, where do these rules even come from? Well, the great news is you don't have to invent them from scratch. Nope. The province and the school board provide key documents that act as your foundational blueprint. Let's take a closer look.
Okay, this is absolutely critical to understand. There are two documents that guide you. First up, you have the law, Ontario Regulation 612/00. Think of these as the mandatory, non-negotiable rules for every school council in the province. This is the permanent foundation of your house. Then you have the TDSB's bylaw template. This is your customizable starting point, like the architectural plans you can adapt for your specific school community. And here's the most important rule of all. Your customized plans can never, ever contradict that legal foundation.
Okay, let's look at the core structure. According to the law, every single council's blueprint must have 3 non-negotiable load-bearing walls. These are the absolute mandatory pillars that hold everything else up.
Yep, every single school council in Ontario has to have written bylaws that cover these 3 specific areas. First, election procedures, to make sure your leadership is chosen fairly and transparently. Second, conflict of interest rules, which ensure that members' personal or financial interests don't improperly influence the council's decisions. And third, a conflict resolution protocol, a clear plan for managing disagreements respectfully.
This table does a fantastic job of showing that balance between the rules and your flexibility. The law sets the minimums, like you must have a parent majority, and the chair must be a parent, but your council gets to customize the specifics, like the exact number of members you need for quorum, or if you want to set term limits for officers. A really common pitfall is not clearly defining these custom areas in your bylaws, which, trust me, can lead to a lot of confusion down the road.
Now let's zoom in on that first mandatory bylaw, holding fair and transparent elections. This is so fundamental to the legitimacy and health of your council.
The process itself is broken down into 4 clear, legally required steps. The timing is tight. You have to get it done within the first 30 days of school. That notice period of 14 days is mandatory to make sure everyone is aware and has a chance to participate. Eligibility is clear and nominations have to be in writing. Sticking to these steps ensures a fair process for everyone.
And when it's time for the vote itself, these 3 rules are key to making sure the outcome is transparent and totally legitimate. That dual supervision by the principal and a non-candidate parent, that's a really crucial check and balance. And understanding the difference between when you need to vote versus when you can acclaim members, that just prevents unnecessary process and keeps things moving efficiently.
All right, on to our third mandatory bylaw, having a plan for managing disagreements. Look, when you bring passionate, engaged people together, disagreements are going to happen. That's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of a healthy, active council. The key is having a plan to manage it constructively, because believe me, unresolved conflict can lead to disengaged members and can completely stall all of your council's great work.
The chair has a specific toolkit to guide these discussions. It always starts with making sure everyone truly understands what's being said and then trying to find that common ground.
Now, step 3 is absolutely vital for good agenda management. Tabling new topics that pop up to keep the meeting focused on what you plan to discuss. If you still can't find consensus, the choice is clear. Either defer the topic for more information or move to a formal vote. Now, for those more challenging situations that go beyond simple disagreement into actual disruption, there's a very clear 3-level protocol. This isn't about punishing people. It's about protecting the process and making sure there's a safe and respectful environment for everyone. Each step is deliberate and has to be recorded in the minutes for total transparency.
So, we have covered a lot of the theory. This next part is all about turning that blueprint into an actual reality. We're going to walk through a simple 4-step plan to create and adopt bylaws that your council can really use.
It's really as simple as following these 4 steps. 1. Draft your bylaws and use that TDSB template as your guide. Don't start from a blank page. 2. Review that draft with your entire council to get feedback. 3. Adopt them with a formal vote at a meeting. And 4. This is a big one. Share the final, adopted bylaws publicly, usually right on the school website. This process ensures your bylaws are collaborative and transparent from the very beginning to the very end. And please remember, you are not alone in this process. You do not have to be a legal expert. There are fantastic resources and people available to help you build your council's blueprint.
The most important thing you can do is just get started. So go ahead, you can use your phone to scan this QR code right now. It's going to take you directly to the TDSB's school council page, and you'll find the bylaw template, the official regulations, and a bunch of other key documents to guide you.
And finally, just a sincere thank you from the TDSB's Parent and Community Engagement Office, or the PCEO. Thank you for your commitment to improving our schools. The work that you do on your council truly makes a difference.
So, we'll leave you with this one thought. A strong blueprint builds a strong council, and a strong council builds a better school community for everyone. Looking at your own council's foundation, what's the first brick you're going to lay? Will it be reviewing your election process, maybe clarifying some roles, or maybe it's just starting the conversation? Whatever it is, that first brick is the most important one. Thanks for joining us for this explainer,